Hello and welcome to Boomer 11 for yet another live stream. And we are back. We are back talking about sports once again. And today's live stream is all about the AFC Asian Championship final. Now, as you all know, it isn't an easy one at all for both the teams. One end, you have Qatar, who's the home team and also the defending champions. And at the other end, you have Jordan, who is the underdog. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about these two teams in depth for today's game and what do these two teams bring into the context and what not. So a lot of exciting things as we're going to move ahead into the stream. But yeah, what is it about this Qatari team, right? I mean, Qatar team really did not come well in that game, especially if you look at the World Cup. They had a horrendous World Cup where they even lost all their games, and you thought for the Qatar team, but it wasn't to be. But let's be honest, since then they've had a complete um, turnaround and they've done phenomenally well under obviously the coach Marcus Lopez, who is the current coach of the Qatar team. But remember, in the World Cup, they had Felix Sanchez as a coach. He was pretty decent, but the new coach has been pretty impressive with the way in which he's deployed. Even if you look at the World Cup qualifiers, he's come out with a plan, and Qatar team has not looked back since then, and they've really come out fighting out almost every game. Even if you look at the World Cup qualifiers, remember the game against the Kuwait team, against India, they were outstanding. But come the AFC Asian Cup, they did not look behind. Since that game against Lebanon, they've been the team to beat. They've been on an upward climb. They've not had any jitters. Remember, they won almost every game in regulation time. They've been unbeaten for the last 13 games in the AFC Asian Cup. They are they are like the strong favorites heading into today's game for sure. But on the other end of things, let's not write away the Jordan team, isn't it? I mean, what a phenomenal time, what a phenomenal team they are. They've had a lot of success. They've had success when it comes to finding their ways out, and they've had success when it comes to really coming up. They came out against all the odds. Let's not forget that Jordan team hasn't really gone. You can never pinpoint and say they've had the most incredible tournament. We'll look at it right now on the screen as to how their run was coming into this particular feat they've achieved right now. Let's look at Jordan team because it's a very interesting story in itself. The Jordan teams run into this particular AFC Asian Championship. I mean, let's start off by talking about the game against Malaysia, right? They got off to a beautiful start against Malaysia, where you saw the likes of Mahmoud Al Mardi and you saw Musa Al Tamari score those two. They scored a brace, took them over the line, but the biggest challenge for them was obviously the South Korean team, and there was no doubt. But they held their nerve against the South Korean team. You have to talk about Yazin Al Naimat. He's been a player who's really grown throughout this particular AFC Asian Cup. Because of particular reasons. Let's be honest. The way in which they've deployed. If you look at this game, I'll show you a very interesting thing about the way in which this Jordanese team lineup. Right, they have a very defensive formation. They go in with a 3-4-3 formation where they trend. Especially when it comes to their defensive transition. They go with a 5-6 at the back kind of a setup, and they do prefer playing on the counters. They are a team who really looks to play on the counters. They've got phenomenal defensive strength, and they've shown that grit throughout this particular AFC Asian Championship. But yeah, I have to give credit to there are a couple of players who I really want to talk about, especially from this game, which I thought was one was Yassin Al Naimat, the game in the group stage, and one particularly impressive player in this game was Nasib, on the back line, who was outstanding in this particular game. The South Korean team was taken up by surprise that how this Jordanese team are this good, but they had a setback against Bahrain, but that did not really stop them. If you look at this game against Bahrain, they had a particular setback. They thought things did go slightly northward after this game against Bahrain, but it did not really stop them. They just kept going. They just kept pushing, and the real peak, right? The real peak of their particulars, this particular journey came in the round of 16, because that is where people started believing, okay, this is a team to really not write off. The game against Iraq, you can say, yeah, Iraq were 10 men down, even towards the last one, even Jordan were 10 men down, but they really did capitalize. The team that really did capitalize on the 10 men being down was Jordan. 2-2 all to score that goal in the 94th minute. I mean, you have to give it to someone like the Jordanese team. You know, the Jordanese team has shown once again. Jason Al Nemat, he, as I mentioned earlier, has grown over a time. He has shown what he can do to equalize in the 94th minute and to come back and to score that the winner. Jordan team, that was a peak moment for them. If you look at this particular game, how possession stood by. As I mentioned, they're not a team who likes to control the ball a lot more. They like to play from the back. They're a team who likes to really, show their strength. And once again, that formation which they show, the defensive stability they have, especially in the attacking transition as well. When you have someone like Yazan Al Naimat up front, you can play those long balls. You can use your effort a lot more. I mean, Jordan team's run into this AFC Championship has been just exceptional. Just not because of the results they've got. It's just a grit. That's that example for all the lower ranked team that if you have the grit to go out there and to go out there to fight, you can really get those results. I mean, Jordan team, will you remember, it's a story to study for the longest period of time. Tomorrow, when they take that final, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be outstanding. I mean, all the eyes are going to be on that team, but especially in the way in which they've really been drilled. They're a well drilled unit, you can say. At the end of the day, you're going to look back and be like, this is a team which has really earned uh, our favor. This is a team which has won all the hearts out there just because of the way in which they play. And let's give credit to Hossein Amuta. I mean, Hossein Amuta has been a phenomenal manager in this particular AFC Championship. I mean, the way in which he's really managed this team. He's really understood, who are the players, who are the right players to be used. I have to give credit to the backline as well, because they often don't get that particular, especially Yazan Al Arab. Don't get confused with Yazan Al Naimat and Yazan Al Arab. Both have been on the score sheet quite a lot in this particular AFC Championship, but especially Yazan Al Arab in the backline leading this team. I mean, he's shown his character, and also Naseeb as well. These both in the backline has just taken the team to another level. And in the midfield, I have to give credit to Al Rashdan. Al Rashdan has been that player who's been that foil between the final third and the defensive line. He's really stood up front. He's really his aggressiveness in the game has been really good. He's shown a lot of composure as well. If you look back at this particular journey of the Jordan team, you really go on to pick the players from this particular team. And what's been more impressive about the Jordan team has been the players who have been playing for them, right? I mean, if you look at the kind of players they've not got players who are playing in the big leagues. They've got players who are playing in Saudi second division. Most of them play in the local leagues in Jordan, which is not a very big league in itself. But the determination and grit. Remember, nobody really expected 87th ranked FIFA team. Now a lot of you watching are maybe from India as well. India are close to 100, so it really shows. Even if you are low in ranking, if you can show the mentality out there in the pitch, that's what really transcends into these kind of such great performance to remember. And Jordan team, in my opinion, has won it in just this front. Mentality has taken them thus far. Mentality has helped them to bolster their performance with every game they played. I mean, every game you put the Jordanese team up front, and you'll be like, okay, what's good about this team, right? I mean, they'll end up losing at one point, either ways. But that Tajikistan game as well. You can say Tajikistan, not the best of teams in Asia, but let's be honest, that was a game which Jordan really showed with that three. What Once again showing the world that this is a team to watch out for. It was a narrow victory. Let's not forget, it was a narrow victory for the Jordan team. It was a own goal is what will be counted at the end of the day. But that Jordan team, that composure, defensive ability they showed throughout that second half was outstanding. They did not let Tajikistan create a lot of opportunities as well. If you look at the stats of this game, you really see how the possession was almost on level peggings, but Jordan's defensive composition, they were really good with the defensive ability. They committed few tactical fouls here and there, but they made sure that Tajikistan did not really penetrate through, and that composure is really what has taken them to the semi-final. And from there on, the semi-final was where a lot of people thought, okay, this is not an easy task for the Jordanese team, because they're going to be coming up against a South Korean team, and that wasn't going to be easy for them at all. But once again, Jordan telling all of us that just don't write us off just yet. We are here to win this tournament, and we are here to show the world what we really can. That 2-0 victory against the mighty South Korea team is what will be remembered for ages. It is a classic in the AFC Asia Cup. I mean, once again, going on with the same formation. If you look, it wasn't going to be easy for this team. But this time around, how they maintain that composure. Once again, Jason Al on the score sheet, he's been the leading goal scorer. The backline again, Jason Al Arab was absolutely phenomenal. Nasib once again, Almari was great. Al Rashban was very very interesting. But yeah, those two goals were scored by Al Tamari, and also Jason Al Naimat will be remembered for the longest period of time. But what's been also interesting is the way in which this team will be remembered for the way how they played their football, right? I mean, it's not the most flamboyant brand of football. I mean, people are talking about comparing Jordan with Greece. I think Greece of 2004 in the Euros, I think it's much better than the Greece of 2004. I'll tell you two reasons why. The Greece of 2004 came out to play just defensive football, and they got success in that. But the Jordan of 2024, what you're talking about, is a team which has come with a lot of grit. At the same time, they played some really good football. They've had proper strategies. Had uh, they've had players who've stepped up. The midfield, the passing has been outstanding thus far in this tournament. I mean, we often tend to write these small traits off, but let's just not write them all off, because the way in which they've done so far has been really good. And that is where I have to give credit to the XG as well. They've scored more than 4 goals. They've scored 5 goals outside the box. That's the most by any team since Uzbekistan in 2012. 5 goals outside the box, and that in itself shows how they are not afraid to take those chances. I mean, that's been the key for this Jordan team. The way in which they've been not afraid, the way in which they've shown the world that they can go out there to take that extra bit of risk, go an extra mile, take those risks, score those goals. And you have to give credit to the Jordan team here, how they've taken that, press their pedal, and not at one point did they ever feel this is we are going to lose this tournament, we're going to let things away. They've been incredibly fearless. They've shown the world what they are made of. They've shown the world that this is their best, especially when it comes to the football. And they've shown a lot of teams out there that it's just not about the big names. We can play in our own mentality, take that extra bit of risk, and go a long way. And I think that's going to be defined. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, the definition of a good team is going to be defined in these particular boxes, these particular events where you are going to go out there, you're going to put the extra yards. And again, coming back to Hussein Alamud, I mean, what a phenomenal manager he's been. He's really drilled this team to perfection. And that South Korea game was a clear-cut example of who, where a team like Jordan can go if you really invest them right. And I think after this tournament, obviously, some of the players might get a big contract, maybe not, but certainly, this is a story to be remembered for the longest period of time. And that's one of the only reasons why I've loved watching this Jordan team. And we all are going to love watching them for one last time in the final. I hope that they win. But on the other end of the side, as I mentioned, is a strong Qatar team. Let's look at their performance thus far. As I mentioned, they've been a force to reckon with in this particular Asian Cup, especially in the way in which they played in this particular championship. Right? I mean, they have not really been there. They've not really looked at all ruffled by any problems. And let's be honest, Tintin Marcus has been the guy to really, really, look out for. Carlos Queiroz was their former manager. Since him taking over after that disastrous World Cup they had in 2022, I think Marcus has really shown this team that this is the right way to play football. They've always had the talent. Let's be honest. You saw that in the Asian Cup in 2019. That this team, if you give them the right opportunity, they can go a long way. And you saw that this team has got the spark. Even in the FIFA World Cup qualifier, they really did come out firing all guns. And since Marcus taking over, I think they have really had wings to fly with, is what I'd say. That's really give them a lot of liberation to play football in a much more fluid way, and showing the world once again what this team can do. Let's look at their performance, right? We'll start off with the game against Lebanon, where they really got off to a phenomenal start. Akram Afif, I mean, he's carried on from where he left off in that particular 2019 Asian Cup. Outstanding, dominated dominated this Lebanon team in all fronts. If you look how this Qatar team has really lined up so far, I mean, they've gone with a very interesting formation. A lot of people might be wondering, uh, what is it about this particular formation? Why this guy? So it looks like a defensive three at the back, 3-5-2 is what they've gone. But if you look, they've had some of the most success going in this formation. Having those two strikers up front has always helped them. Akram Afif, when he joins in hands with the likes of Almoiz Ali, I mean, this both are a fierce combination up front, and they've troubled a lot of teams even in 2019 Asian Cup. I'm not surprised that they're made to yet another Asian Cup final with that combination. But the game against Tajikistan, once again, Akram Afif on the scoring sheet, outstanding. He's a genuine player to reckon with. Let's be honest. Everybody expected him to step up in the World Cup. Unfortunately, he couldn't. But yeah, in this particular game, they went with a 4-3-3. Akram Afif once again playing on the left hand side, and Al Ali up through the middle. But you have to give credit to that midfield duo as well. Someone like Al Fateh and Tariq has been outstanding in the midfield. They've really controlled the game to perfection. At no point do you really think that the opposition is able to control the ball. You saw that throughout the AFC Asian Championship, that how these both in the middle of the park has really caused a lot of troubles for the opposition. And let's be honest, this is where I really have to give credit to the likes of the coach once again, from Clinton Marcus, to really entrust in these two midfielders and saying, you run the game, you put the right ball in behind for someone like Akram Afif or Al Moiz Ali. These both are going to give you the scoring, and that's a belief they've had in this team. If you look at the way in which how they've really lined up as well, uh, if you look at Lucas Mendes, is since his joining of the Qatari team, he's really brought in the leadership acumen, that ability to carry the ball up front has really given Qatar to play such exuberant brand of football. I mean, you talk about Asian teams and they don't really bring that kind of exuberant brand of football, right? They're still more conservative. You can say some of the best Asian teams, yes, but Qatar since 2018, you have to say under Carlos as well, they were outstanding. Though they couldn't transcend that into the World Cup of 22, but what they've shown in that brief period so far, the ability to be confident on the ball for an Asian team of that level. Firstly, the infrastructure so far has been outstanding in Qatar. I mean, although they brought in a lot of investments into Qatar, and they've invested in the right players, the right academies. And yet another game, Hassan Al Haidos was the guy who scored in this game against China. But Al Haidos, another player, uh, you know, he's always been there in the ranks. He's always shown the world that what he's really can really bring. A lot of experience. Haidos always, when we talk about Haidos, what he really brings is plethora of experience. He's a player who's shown the world that you give him that right breakthrough at the right time, he can come in and change the game. He was really good in the run in the 2019 AFC Championship. You can say once again, him coming in and scoring would have given him a lot of confidence. A player who's got a lot of experience to back him for this tournament once again was phenomenal from the Qatar team. But yeah, let's come to the round of 16. They were coming up against a Palestine team who were very gritty. But once again, Al Haidos, as I mentioned, Hassan Al Haidos, you give him that extra bit of push. This guy can really turn it around, because that guy comes in with a lot of experience, and he really showed the world that this is what he can do. Once again, going back to the 3-5-2 formula, and Haidos, let's be honest, he's a really genuine character up in the middle of the park. He runs the play beautifully. He is possibly the best midfielder of this era in Qatar football, and he's always showed that this guy, you give him right, and he really can turn the game around. Obviously, there are a lot of question marks on Qatar team, getting in the European players and giving them the Qatari nationality to play in the Qatar team. But then, if you look at all the major European nations as well, they've done the same, right, to get in other players. But they've invested right, they've got the right players at the right time, and they're really coming out good for this Qatar team. So that's where you'll have to give credit to them, and give to the coach as well. Where how Tintin market is really turned this game around. You can say the biggest test was definitely Uzbekistan, considering it was a one-all draw. It had to go to the penalties. Again, let's be honest, Hassan and Eidos. I mean, you can't take the name off the charts, can you? The midfield maestro, as they call him in Qatar, the magic man, stepping up, scoring them, and obviously Uzbekistan, one of the better teams of this particular Asian Cup, showing that they're also here to compete. They really competed well against them. It was a very evenly matched game, because the possession wasn't totally controlled by the Qatari team as well. It was a pretty much a strangle on both the ends. but showed the world once again, what they really, what the Qatar team is all about. Came out victorious. You have to give credit to the goalkeeper, Albert Sham. He was really good, especially when it comes to him managing the game. He really took the game deep, got the right result at the right time for them, and the Iran game, because this was the game, one of the best games of this year's tournament. Both Almois and Akram Afif being on the scoring sheet once again. 3-2, you can say a very nerve-wracking game. 2-all going into the second half. I know, the deep in the second half, it was never going to be easy. But that's when someone like an Almois Ali really stepped up for them, and he really showed the world that, you know I'm not done yet. I mean, he's got a lot to contribute in this particular championship, and he's really done that with so much of ease, so much of class. And the Qatar team has been outstanding thus far because of these guys, and the kind of football they played has been just brilliant to watch. Let's be honest, at times you really feel like, okay, what is the best way in which you can really expect this team to perform? But they've really stepped up a notch with every game they played. Now that's why I'll give credit to the manager once again. The way in which he has deployed the 3-5-2 formation has really come good for them. And looking ahead, I'm pretty sure in the final as well, they will be the favorites. But let's look at Akram Afif just for a minute. I mean, last tournament it was Almoiz, but this tournament Akram Afif hasn't been any bad either. Now Almoiz and Akram Afif, that particular partnership has really done him well. Has already scored 6 goals so far. I mean, if you look at the way place in which he's taken those shots as well, he's always been inside. He's been an absolute poacher. I mean, what a phenomenal time he's had so far in this particular tournament, and involvements as well has been phenomenal. 19 involvements thus far in the AFC Asian Cup. In 2019, he scored 6 goals there. He had a phenomenal tournament there, but this particular tournament he's been one of the best. Let's be honest. He's not really let anything down from 2019 to now. He's really stepped up, and to take those shots even once again inside the box, scoring those 5 goals in this tournament. I mean, that's where he's really come up good. And to be very honest, if you have to look at Akram Afif 2019, 2023, Akram Afif has become much more versatile when it comes to his play. He's going a lot more deeper on the pitch. He's been able to partner well with Al Muiz as well. And this Qatar team looks much more dangerous than the team which was in 2019. And hence, I can give you with a surety this is the team to watch out for. I think that's about it from us when it comes to today, the preview of the AFC Asian Cup final. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a very interesting final, which is lined up for us, Jordan versus Qatar. Both teams have had a fair share of their success so far, and they've had a great run. Obviously, the bets are on Qatar, obviously, because of the home team they are, because of the form they've shown. But let's just not write Jordan off. And you can make your team for this AFC Asian Cup final on Boom 11. Without further ado, get on the app. The link is down in the description. Download it on Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Make your team and win a lot of prizes with Boom 11. This is your opportunity. And check out our predict and win contest as well. And play a premium contest where you can buy some groceries from our e-shop and get some points and enter into a premium contest where you can win a lot more bigger prizes. So do not miss out on these opportunities to play premium contest with Boom 11. Check it out. The link is down in the description. Have a good time, all of you. See you all soon. Bye bye.